Alright guys, so in this video we're checking out the Happymodel Cine8 85mm Cinewhoop, and this is a DIY do-it-yourself build kit. I did a build video already which I released on my channel I think last week, so if you want to know how to put this together, go and check out that video. It'll be linked down in the description. This is actually pretty easy to build because there's no soldering involved if you're going to be using the versions that have the built-in receiver. And even if you have the ones that come with the receiver, I think those receivers should already be pre-soldered from the factory. Although I don't have those versions, I can't completely confirm that, but they've told me that there should be no soldering involved. And you can see all the parts and everything that are included in the build. Now, since that video, I did add these two parts here for mounting my naked GoPro. And so there's this part here, which I printed in PLA, and this is actually meant for a SMO 4K camera, but I decided not to use a SMO 4K camera because I wanted to use the naked GoPro, so I printed this part here, and this part's from Beta FPV for their 95X V3, which is for the SMO 4K camera, but this mount fits that basically where the SMO 4K camera would mount. So I printed this in TPU, I printed this in PLA. This part you can get from the Happymodel website, and then this part here you can get from the Beta 95X V3 product page. It's at the very bottom of the page if you want to look for the link for that. I'll link those down in the description as well. So this is a pretty nice little combination. You can get these parts and just print them out, PLA for this one and TPU for this one, and it worked out pretty good. Now, I didn't do any soldering to power the naked GoPro because I'm just using my DIY don't solder power solution here, and I made a video on how to do that where I'm just using the balance leads to power the naked GoPro from the battery. So I'll link that video in the description as well if you're wondering how to basically utilize all these components on this particular Cinewhoop without having to solder any parts to the flight controller. You can just use this little power adapter solution I made, and you do get a 3S450 tattoo is included in the kit, so it's a pretty decent price for everything. You get battery, you get all the parts to build this, and it's about $110, I believe. So it's not a bad deal for everything that's included. In fact, you're going to get a flight controller that has a built-in receiver. So the parts in here, and again, you can watch the build video if you want more details on all the parts because everything is obviously fully built here. But you got 1202.5 8,000 kV motors. You have these gem fan 4-bladed 2-inch propellers. The bottom plate here is 1mm, and then you have another plate here for the flight controller that's 1mm. The Cadx Nano camera, pretty nice camera. You have a 25 to 400 milliwatt video transmitter. All these are Happymodel parts. And then you have this, I think it's called the Crazy Bee F4 version 3.1. And this has a built-in flight controller and 4-in-1 ESC. It's a 12-amp 4-in-1 ESC BLLES, and it does have a built-in FreeSky SPI receiver with 2 detachable diversity antennas, and you can see those coming out the back here. These are the antennas for the receiver, and then you have the antenna for the video transmitter coming out the back like here. I did opt to mount my battery sideways, but if you want, you can go forward and backwards as well. XT30 for your battery connection. There's a buzzer connection in there and an extra connector for external receiver if you don't want to use the built-in receiver. And of course, I mentioned the parts here for mounting the naked GoPro. And that's pretty much it. The frame itself is the carbon plates, and then you have this TPU, basically prop guard / ducts here that basically comprises the frame, and then you have this foam that goes on the outside that kind of holds everything together. But it is, somewhat flexy. But it's so light that it doesn't really make that much of a big impact in terms of flight characteristics for the basically from the flexing. And you'll see that in the video. I'll show you I'll link the raw footage from the FPV camera, the analog footage. You can't really see that much jello or vibration at all with the default tune that comes on the flight controller, and I didn't change any of the settings. And then, of course, the GoPro footage is stabilized to real steady go. It looks totally smooth and flawless as usual. So, and if you're looking for like a nice, really simple indoor type of Cinewhoop solution for your naked GoPro, this is probably a pretty good way to go. It's nice and light. You got these nice foam bumpers for indoor use. It's not going to mark up your walls. It is going to have somewhat limited flight time compared to my 3-inch, ultralight Cinewhoop setup. On this 3S450, I was getting roughly 4 minutes of flight time. Something of this battery, I think on a 3S450, I think it was a 2S450. On the 3-inch setup, I was getting something like 6 minutes of flight time. So significantly more flight time because you have much bigger props and the weight is actually a little bit less. So, if you still get 4 minutes, not too bad on this overall setup here with the 3S450. And this doesn't really weigh that much, but go ahead and show you how much everything weighs. So this is the drone without battery and with the mounts for the naked GoPro. And we're coming in here at, 78.6 grams. And then with the 3S450, bringing that up to 119.3. And then with the naked GoPro and power adapter, 152.3 grams. Anyway, so I'll go ahead and leave you with the flight footage for this. And let me know if you have any questions. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video.